Now on 4, Mark Kermode introduces Cronenberg's The Brood.
When asked to describe his 1979 shocker, The Brood, writer-director David Cronenberg famously replied, "It's my version of Kramer versus Kramer." Although the response sounds facetious, Cronenberg was actually being deadly serious. Having come through a traumatic divorce and subsequent bitter custody battle, he was in exactly the right frame of mind to pen a story which, despite its fantastical trappings, was essentially a down-to-earth tale of familial infighting and crippling domestic anxiety. "It's the closest I've ever come to autobiography," he said. "I really did want to strangle my ex-wife." Written under intense conditions at a time when he was meant to be working on The Sensitives, which later transformed itself into Scanners, Cronenberg's surreal parental nightmare found renegade Dr. Hal Raglan, played by Oliver Reed, teaching estranged wife and mother Nola Carveth to manifest her psychological tensions as physical, bodily mutations. It's a classic Cronenbergian scenario, with the pseudoscience of psychoplasmics perfectly embodying the metaphorical nature of his body horror cinema. Little wonder then that the first serious book to be written about Cronenberg's films in the early 80s took as its title the name of Hal Raglan's alleged bestseller, The Shape of Rage. Budgeted at $1.5 million, The Brood was Cronenberg's most expensive film to date, boasting the presence of not one but 2 established stars, Oliver Reed and Samantha Eggar, who only actually worked on the production for 3 days. According to Cronenberg, she was cast partly because she reminded him of his ex-wife, and she confided to the director that the film reminded her of her childhood. Later, she told Cronenberg that it was the strangest and most repulsive movie she had ever worked on. Decide for yourself. As with so many of Cronenberg's films, The Brood was a hit with international audiences, but not with the censors, who cut a shot in which Eggar licks one of her furious cubs into life. It's a cut which particularly annoyed Cronenberg, since the remaining elements of the scene implied that she's actually eating one of her children, a far worse scenario than that originally envisaged. So to correct this long-standing error, Film 4 especially tracked down and transferred an original uncut copy of The Brood, giving UK audiences for the first time the chance to enjoy Cronenberg's masterpiece in all its tongue-tickling glory.